Board of Directors. Eric Stoker is a self-advocate and extremely strong leader in Utah. Casey Lyman is Vice Chair of the Utah Developmental Disabilities Council. And Lenny Jones is People First of Utah member and also a council member. And then you also have Tanya Whitehead, one of the most passionate researchers I think I've ever met around social power and developmental disabilities, and has committed her whole career to the field of developmental disability and the social empowerment of folks with developmental disabilities. So I think you're going to get a lot out of this.
Is based in Salt Lake City, Utah. There are currently 5 local People First chapter active across the state with 50 People First members in Utah. There are many people in interest in People First. We always working on getting new chapters started. We would like to talk to you today about some exciting work that we are doing. There are several parts to our presentation. First, Eric will explain what a social power is and how we are using what we learned about social power to help us become strong leaders and make changes in our lives and our communities, and to help us hire advisors that know how to support us in our work. Then Casey will explain the way the People First of Utah is creating a real job for advisors who are interviewed and hired by People First members. As a part of this process, we will realize that People First advisors need training to how to do their job. So we have created training videos as one part of our advisor certification process. We will show you 3 of our videos during these presentations. Finally, Lenny will go over the new advisor training and explain the way that it will prepare advisors to effect in helping us our goals. We will have questions and discussions time after Lenny's presentation. We are looking forward to answering your questions and hearing your thoughts at this time. Turn over to this presentation to my colleague, Eric Stoker.
Thanks, Kelly. So, what is social power? The word social means with people, so that we never forget that power is part of a relationship between people. Power is being able to get things done by working with other people. Empowerment is having a system that allows you to use power and get things done. Our system has empowered us by listening to us, but that is not enough. We have learned and are learning more about self-advocacy. What we have learned is that we have to stop talking only about what each one of us wants and focus our energy on making sure all people with intellectual disabilities are safe and able to live rich lives in the community. What we have learned about social power, that it tells us that individuals can never negotiate effectively with the system. If you have 2 systems that can jointly negotiate and resolve an issue, things work well. But a system and an individual can't negotiate together. For this reason, People with disabilities need to learn how to create, staff, and control a bargaining group, like an association. A People First association can negotiate the system and work with legislators for the rights and representations for all people with disabilities. The People First Association has to have well-prepared and effective self-advocates sit on councils, planning teams, and to work with legislators. This is true self-advocacy because it focuses on meaningful negotiation with the entire class of people with disabilities and arranges the terms and conditions of what needs to be on each agenda. Begins in our local People First groups by training people how to do things for themselves. It also means taking stock of what skills people already have in place that they already learned and build upon it for the group. It also means sharing skills by cross-training the group so more than one person knows how to do things, and by making sure that each and every person speaks up at the meeting and no one is left out. Concerning expectations of people's empowerment. However, people can only be as empowered as the system allows them to be. Empowerment is the right to negotiate meaningful change. Power, really called by the term social power in the literature, is the relationship between parties or groups. In order for People First members to have access to empowerment, they must develop the skills needed to work together for a common cause and learn how to negotiate with other systems as an equal. This requires training for People First members to prepare for seats at the table in a meeting. People First members have to learn the tools of negotiation and develop the interpersonal skills that will be effective in helping them reach their goals. The small lifestyle changes that people want in their own lives will naturally follow the larger, sweeping changes only possible through negotiation as an association with the entity that sets the agenda, creates the rules, and controls the resources. To make these changes, we have to learn how to work together. In order to get what we need as a group, we have to work as a group, like a team. We have to keep learning new skills and sharing them with our People First groups, like learning how to vote, how to use the internet, how to do other things people want to learn. We have to get experience in public speaking and sharing important ideas with others. You don't know, you may need to speak to your legislator one day, so you need to be prepared and get ready. We have to set one goal at a time as a group and work towards it together. We have to work towards one thing at a time together. How do we live the power in our People First organization? Number one, we are taking charge of getting good advisors who can help us with training and organizing so we can be effective. Number two, we are training our advisors to help us the way we want to be helped. And number three, we are learning more every year on how to do things for ourselves by supporting each other and working effectively together. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Casey Lennon. Casey?
Thanks, Eric. Advisors have a big job to do. They help us get ready for our meetings, and they work with us whenever we have questions. But it is an even bigger job for them to help us figure out what kinds of training we need. When we come to an advisor and ask for help in learning something new, the advisor should go to the computer and find a place we can take training. Sometimes they help figure out how to pay for it and help us find transportation to the training. It used to be that advisors were like friends to People First members, but now they are needed to be much more. They need to be professionals who work in areas like education, law, or community, because we need to have them give us training and help us find training. We know that we have to use an interview process to find advisors who can do all of the work we need them to do. We will also have to pay them for their time. We will place ads for employment, interview applicants with the Utah Developmental Disabilities Council, and arrange for payment through the Utah Division of Services for People with Disabilities. Advisors will have a 3-year term that can be renewed once for a total of 6 years of service as an advisor of a particular People First group. We want advisors to come into their jobs with skills in training and in community action. We also want advisors to be professionals. We have a certification process for them that will take them time to complete. There is a web-based course on community advocacy, three advisor training webinars, and an advisor handbook created by People First of Utah. Advisors must live by our state People First bylaws like we have to too. And only advisors who are certified are eligible for State of Utah advisor positions. We would like to show you our training webinars now. As you can see, they are on 3 topics, which is supporting people, nurturing independence, and transportation. So our first webinar video we would like to show you now is supporting people. And his staff should not have spoken for him. Lennon had to ask the advisor to help him find training in public speaking. The president also asked the advisor how to better manage the group. Kelly?
The key is to learn new skills. Each person in the group, both officers and members, need to learn how to speak up, how to manage a meeting, and how to take turns.
If everyone does have a problem, they should talk to someone so that they can see what can be done about it. It is working it out.
Our third and final webinar video we would like to show you now is transportation. People First members can learn how to get anywhere that they need to go.
It's fun to learn how to use transportation and to make a person more independent.
Having a bus pass gives you power and freedom, like this one, for example.
Taking planning and having to learn how, but any people, first members could use public transportation.
Webinars and enjoy them. We would like to use your materials too. Now Kelly will tell you about how we created our handbook for advisors.
Here's our book. It took us 6 months to write the handbook for advisors. We met in 2 different groups to write this manual. For 6 weeks, I met with 2 staffs and a professor, and we discussed the session of the book and to content of each session. Then after the book was written, we met with a larger group of People First of Utah members to discuss each of the chapters. We talk about what we thought were the important kinds of information to have in each of the chapters. Finally, an elder and design person create the type of look we wanted for our manual. Now, Eric will explain the chapter and the content to you.
Thank you, Kelly. I would like to tell you a little bit about what is in the new People First Utah Advisor Manual. The Handbook is part of our toolkit for People First advisors. Handbook of advice for the advisors from People First members and their friends. We have 6 chapters in this handbook. In the first chapter of our handbook, we talk about the introduction to self-advocacy groups, the People First philosophy, the role of advisors, ethics and advising, learning how to help, do and don'ts for advisors, and getting started. The next chapter explains, what does an advisor do? Where does the group meet? How do people get to meetings? Leadership development, group facilitation, including conflict resolution and leading discussion. How to plan with officers and members, long-term planning and funding issues with people with and for People First groups. And then in chapter 3, we talk about training for self-advocates, formal versus informal training, what kind of training would be useful, what do people need, how do we get training, training for groups and individuals, and a word about power and empowerment. Then in chapter 4, we talk about the advisor's self-awareness, and we also have a questionnaire in that chapter as well for the advisors to look at. We also have information on personal relationships in the group and relationships between the groups. In chapter 5, it talks about developing self-advocacy as a lifelong process. It also talks about learning about leadership development, communication skills, listening to others, learning to share goals and direct energy toward positive goals, transition between stages and into adulthood. And then finally, in chapter 6, there are handouts, the agenda templates, and resources and links. We have set up training for both People First members and advisors. But our work goes beyond our little group or even our state. We want to share our training materials with others, and we hope to be able to access your training materials too. Lenny is our next speaker. He will now explain to us where you can find our materials and how you can sign up on our
You can find webinars online, or you can sign up by name or email, or you can have one of our business cards that I put at the end of this table. You can come and pick it up later.
To recap what we present, number 1, we explain how our new understanding of social power brought about a new way of thinking about ourselves and our place in society. 2, we realize we are the full citizens and have the responsibility for our group to ensure that the laws and policy are just and fair. 3, as our first step towards that, we realize we need help from our good advisors who understand the way that the system works and who are trained to assist us to get advisors like that. We create a training and certification process for our new advisors, and we create training materials. 4, we show you 3 of our videos. Finally, the process of advisors training that we are using was explained to you. 5, We think you probably have questions about these things. So we want to open the discussions now, the questions from the audience. We want to make sure that each of you gets our business card, and we want you to sign up for your email list. So Lenny will bring the business card and the list to you in the audience while we answer questions. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand and we will call on you. Everyone on this panel, we will be available to answer questions. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Questions?
Yes,
Yes,
Christine.
Christine.
I just want to tell you how impressed I am with your work, and that I am excited to be able to share this in Idaho because it's something that we really need. And I'm wondering if through your training, so I'm assuming it's the 4 of you doing training, if you're helping to get new trainers as you train new people, so that you're developing the leadership skills of new self-advocates in presentations and in this training. Does that question make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's not my question. My question. So my question is, when you're all out doing the training, is part of your work going to be looking for new people, new self-advocates, to mentor, to then be part of doing this training?
Yes.
Yes.